About soleus, what we want to do is make sure that we're starting from a nice attachment point. Okay, so we're going to be below the attachment of the Achilles. We're going to come right up the middle, but then what we're going to do is do the same one but just a little longer, because what we can't have in Kinesio tape is that you layer them exactly over each other. They have to anchor to skin, and that's how you're going to get a better attachment. So once we do that, I can then round my edges. And then I'm going to need one of these to be a Y strip, and it's my longer one. And so you're going to do your Y right down the middle there. Okay, now you can opt to use spray, or if this is just somebody you're working with in the clinic and you're just supporting the tissue and then you're going to do some neuromotor, you don't necessarily need it. But if they're not coming back for a few days, it's helpful to keep it on because you know they're going to go and shower. And while this can take some water, it will get waterlogged over a few days. Okay, so let's do two techniques in one. So I'm going to have you dorsiflex. Good. So we're going to start at the back, kind of like hugging a little bit of the bottom of the foot. Now, a tendon correction, if you remember from your early notes, means I'm going to take out 50 to 100% of, or 50 to 75% of my tension. So right over the tendon, I can do that. But then I can turn it back into a paper off for the soleus.
That's for inhibition, right?
And that would be for inhibition, right. If we're dealing with, you know, an injury and we're trying to help it through the injured phase. Now, why was that too long? Because I didn't account for the stretch that was coming out from the tendon. I measured it as a full inhibition. Exactly. Okay? But I don't like it to see it cross the knee joint here because then they're going to feel it and it's going to roll back. Okay? So I just wanted to make sure. And then again, you're going to give that a nice little rub. And then this guy, you're going to probably start just a hair lower. Okay, and then you've got these two tails hanging out. And so what I like to do for myself is to free up the tail. She still has a good dorsiflexion. And I want to eyeball where her gastroc is. And I want to think about this tape as sort of supporting the gastroc head. So I need to kind of cradle it. So I want to find it and just give it a little bit of a cradle. Now these can connect and overlap, but you see how I did a partial overlap and then some on her skin. And that's because it gives us the best chance of staying in place if some of the attachment of the tail is actually on her skin. So here you can really see her gastroc head very nicely. So I'm going to make sure I just hug it as if I'm just kind of coming around it. And then there we go. And just try to push all that back down and give it a good rub. Okay? Now, because this area is so skinny on a lot of people and bony, I will use spray here because I want that to make sure it sticks down really nicely. And then we've got our nice rub there. Okay? So now you'll have two that you can practice with the Kinesio tape for the lower extremity. An anterior tib or posterior tib, we can do a peroneal, and now we can do gastrocsoleus, okay?
So you're doing this to inhibit the muscle and kind of